Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Report of the Week, and our broadcast is now on the air. Well, hello all. It's a beautiful afternoon today, Monday, in March of 2014. So here we are. Now you might be sitting here. I know I rarely ever do, radio broadcasts, audio-only recordings, podcasts, whatever you want to call them. Guess it's a YouTube video, but audio only. So I guess you could call it a podcast. If you're listening to this via other methods, it could be a radio broadcast, it could be whatever. MP3. Who knows? Could just call it a recording. But anyway, you might be always used to seeing me in videos. You might be listening to this right now, staring at the, whatever the title card, whatever picture I choose to accompany this with via YouTube. You might be looking at this and you might be thinking, where's Energy Crisis? Where's Running on Empty? Where's The Idle Mind? I thought you promised us more videos in the future, more lectures. Well, I did and I didn't. Let me explain this to you. This will be our first show, and then we'll get to specifics here. Recently, about a month ago, a little over that, February 20th, 2014, we celebrated our 3-year anniversary of this channel. Let it be known, when I first started the channel, in 2011, I really didn't think it would be making it all the way to 2014, and hopefully beyond. But, truly, I had no expectation I would be going this long. I thought we would do a few Energy Crisis reviews, and then call it quits. Obviously, that didn't happen, I'm still sitting here. I'm sitting here now at my microphone, and we're still going strong. But I've decided, I've been doing videos. Videos. Same stuff, pretty much, for almost 3 years. And I thought, well, how about I change things up a little bit? Well, why don't I? Thought you clearly can. You have all the equipment to do so. You have multiple recorders, microphones, all that equipment and all that. Why don't you start doing audio-only broadcasts? I thought to myself, and this is a discussion between myself, thought, well, maybe I will. Well, here we are. I'm sitting here now. I've got the microphones going live, recording this. And, I'll put this up. We'll be heard around the world. So we'll see. We will see. We'll see how this goes. They always say, don't judge a book by its cover, and I hope all of you, can follow that rule, I know a lot of you, maybe watch the reviews for whatever reason, but I hope, even though you physically can't see me, I'm still there. I'm still sitting there behind the microphone. I'm wearing a shirt and tie right now, and I always will be, and I hope you know that. But what I think I'm going to do, I know I've been lacking making videos lately. I've been putting up, maybe one a week. One a week, 1 week and a half, one every 2 weeks. I know I've been lacking in that sense. I've been taking a break. I've been taking a hiatus. Gotten back to the drawing board. I've been thinking. I thought, well, you know what? I need a break. And don't we all sometimes, Don't we all? So this is my break, you may consider it. But I've decided, well, I'm going to be coming back, I figure I'm going to come back bigger and better than ever. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to, of course, keep doing reviews. Maybe one a week, one every 2 weeks. But what I really want to focus on now is lectures, alright? And I think I'm going to make this a new series, alright? I don't know what the name's going to be yet. But I'm going to come up with a new series. I think it'll be audio only. And they'll probably be like, 45-minute to an hour-long audio-only lectures, broadcasts, as I said, whatever you want to call them. You may, but... So I think I'm going to start this up, where it'll be audio-only for those of you that wish to listen. Of course, this would probably be best as background, So you could listen to this while you're doing whatever you want, Be it on Facebook, updating your status every 5 seconds, taking 200 selfies, browsing 4chan, or whatever you wish to do, you could have this accompanying it. I think that would be the most suitable. Or you could just sit there and, listen in. So it's your call, but I'm going to do this. I hope people will, listen to this. I hope so. I know there'll be one person that does, so for you, well, I'm doing this for you then. But I think I'm going to start doing these more. I'm going to start this up, and I'm going to start doing this. And then I'm also going to do the Idle Mind, where I'll just be, talking about random topics and be going that. So I really think I might take my channel, make a new turn, we'll say. Well, I'll start heading from reviews more to lectures, and we'll see how this works out, okay? We will see. We shall see, right? We will. We'll see. We'll see. March 24th, 2014. It's today's date. You know what yesterday was? Sunday. You know what happened that day? Think 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Eastern Daylight Time now, actually, as a matter of fact. What happened? What happened at 9 p.m. Eastern Time? On the television? AMC. Alright, one person has to know. You know what happened then? There's a television show that comes on every Sunday night, 9 p.m., from 9 to 10 p.m., known as The Walking Dead. Might have mentioned this. You might have heard me talk about it earlier. I'm always on bodybuilding.com. I always post in the thread for The Walking Dead and share my thoughts as the episode commences. I am a fan. I do watch The Walking Dead. I've been watching it since season 1. I remember when I first watched The Walking Dead, I remember hearing it advertised, and this is season 1 days, This is a while ago. I remember hearing it advertised, and of course I missed the first and second episode. But I'm going on demand, and I see it, and I start watching it, and I'm immediately hooked. And I've been watching it since then. Now, for those of you that don't know what The Walking Dead is, that don't know what I'm talking about here, the show itself is pretty simple. It's, really about, it usually follows the main character, a man named Rick, who was a police officer in Georgia. And eventually, out of the blue, the world just turns to pot, and there's a zombie apocalypse. So it basically follows his life in the post-apocalyptic world, dealing with both zombies, the flesh-eating zombies, the undead. I know every one of you knows that, what a zombie is, so I'm not going to explain it. But he deals both with zombies and other people. And it basically carries through, his adventures in the world. So that's about, basically the true premise of the show itself. Now, the show's gone on for, 4 seasons. Each season following his life and his, adventures and his, the group that he ends up getting into and eventually leading, his conflicts, the different places they travel. So with that being said, last night there was a new episode. Believe it or not, it's actually the second to last episode in season 4. So we're going to discuss a few things with that episode. Now, if you don't know, if you didn't watch that episode, that's fine. No problem with me. You could continue to listen in, but I will warn you that there are going to be spoilers in this recording. So, if you haven't seen the episode, I would suggest you don't listen until you've watched the episode. Or if you plan on watching it, of course, you may not want to listen to this. Because I'll be discussing the episode. I will also be discussing a few theories from the comics, alright? So that may or may not apply. But if you don't even know what I'm talking about, hey, listen in, hear the beautiful sound of my voice on this lovely spring day. Cold, but beautiful. Clear skies and sunny. But please listen in and let's see what has to be said, alright? So, The Walking Dead last night. The episode was known as Us. Now, I'm not going to do a word-for-word recap of the episode. More so, this is for, people who've watched the episode and are now left with maybe questions in their mind. So we're going to be discussing everything, alright? Let's begin. So, obviously the episode, Us, it bounces around. And, the last couple of episodes, almost after the mid-season finale, has been bouncing around from group to group to group. Rick's group from the prison is completely scattered up now. You got Rick, Carl, and Michonne in one place. You got Carol, Tyrese, they're someplace else. Then you got Daryl and what was once Beth. Not anymore, of course, but you got Daryl and his crew now, as I said, his own kind, All these other survivalists that are there. You got him and his crew there. And then you got Glenn and Abraham and that crew, with the scientist. And then you have Bob and Maggie and all of them. And you got everyone, all these groups out there, scattered throughout the area, all split up and, either looking for each other or looking for some place to go. And it really just jumps from group to group to group. So, that's what we're going to do in this show. So, let's think about Daryl, alright? Daryl. He's been around since season 1. He's a favorite character among many people. I don't blame you. He's actually a favorite character of mine. Maybe not my favorite, though maybe he is. But he's certainly a good character nonetheless, He's an outdoorsman. He's got his classic crossbow. Some people have called him a redneck, and, well, I don't know if I'm going to disagree with you there. Could probably be more of a redneck, but, he certainly isn't a white-collar businessman. But definitely an outdoorsman. He's always got his crossbow at hand. He's always out there, out in the woods. And he knows how to survive, though. He definitely knows how to survive. Now, obviously, Daryl was there with Beth. They went in that stupid mortuary, or that funeral home. And, there's been great debate over this. They were saying, well, was Daryl and Beth, were they set up? They had a little perimeter there. And first the one-eyed dog showed up. Then it showed up again with a pack of zombies, at its heels. They swarmed the place. In the confusion, they both got out, and what does Daryl see when he fights for his life, finally gets out? He sees his car speeding away with, Beth in it. So he obviously in a panic because him and Beth were actually starting to get along, They were starting to know each other with that pathetic episode, quite recently, where it was just them. There they are going out in the post-apocalyptic world to search for booze, and to burn down that stupid cabin. I mean, that was idiotic, to say the least, and disappointing of an episode. Useless character development. And there goes Beth in the back of that car. I don't think we'll be seeing her again. I mean, maybe we will, maybe we won't, but who knows. You see, though, Beth's gone. She's gone. She's out of the picture, she's gone. So, what next? Daryl there, he's running after that car with all his might. He obviously loses it. He's sitting there at the crossroads, eventually, lost hope. He figures, I screwed up, I can't find her, she's gonna die, what now, And all of a sudden, this group surrounds him. And he realizes, though, these guys, they're my type of people, they're all survivalists. Now, this next episode, Us, really focuses on his life with this newfound group of his. Consists of a couple members, I'd say about maybe 6. They all know how to survive. They're all tough guys, but they know how to survive. That's basically the one thing that they're good at doing. And this group is basically connected by one leader. You recognize him. He's the older guy there, always smoking a cigarette. And he's a nice guy. He's like the mediator for the most part. Now, what is this group, though? What I was thinking, what if this group is a prison gang? Think about it. There they are with the whole claimed thing. That's one thing. They have a strict set of rules. Basically, you follow the rules or we're going to kill you. As seen where they killed that one guy who tried to set up Daryl. They're almost dressed like inmates. They've got almost the blue uniforms on. But maybe not. That was just one theory that emerged online. What if they're like a gang or some sort of or prisoners or what have you? You don't know. You just don't know. What I do believe, though, you saw, how Daryl didn't get along with that other man with the crossbow. I don't know if we heard his name or not, but you saw that he didn't get along with him at all. Conflict. Alright? When they were out there hunting, they almost killed each other then. When they were residing for the night, the other man with the crossbow tried to set him up and make it look like he stole one of his things, but he paid the price for it. They found out, they realized he was lying, and they killed him for that. But that makes me believe, if it were not for the leader, if it were not for that old guy there, the older gentleman, he's like the mediator. He almost reminds me of Dale, from seasons 1 and 2. Almost a relaxed, organized mediator, a nice guy. He's nice, but he'll come down on you hard if he has to. I feel that if it were not for him, if he weren't the leader, everyone would just be killing each other. He's a cool guy and he could really lead the group, but I personally feel that if it were not for him, everyone in the group would just kill each other. I don't think anyone would get along. I think he's the person that's holding this group of, really almost ruffians, together. And that's what I believe. That is what I believe. That brings me to another point. This group is great at surviving. You saw they just went along the railroad tracks. They pretty much just killed any walker in their way, any zombie in their way. They're great at surviving. I literally think of that group as probably about 5 or 6 Daryls. All in one. Good group. A strong group. But a good group at that. Now, one thing that brought many questions on the online community, and, with the people who I know who watch this, they were all wondering the same thing. Well, as they were walking up the railroad tracks towards Terminus, they said they were looking for someone. Who are they looking for? Who are they looking for? From what they said, they were at a house. At one point, they were at a house, residing. A man came out and strangled one of their own, and left him to turn, as a walker, and left. And when they went to follow him, they came across the signs for Terminus, and they started heading towards there. So who are they looking for? Obviously a killer, a murderer of some sort. What'll happen when they find him? What I think they'll do, if the person is, at Terminus, if the perpetrator is at Terminus, I think they'll just go in there, kill him, and leave. I think they're interested. I personally believe that they are interested in basically just going in there, getting retribution, getting back at him for killing one of their own. And that's that. So that's what I think they're looking for, I think they're looking for the guy who had to run in with them and strangled one of their own. And let's be honest here. Put yourself in their shoes. You and your crew are residing at a house. And then all of a sudden you find one of your mates there, strangled and turning into a walker. Yeah, I'd want revenge on the guy that killed him. I think almost anyone would, you know? So, I think they're just going to go in there, very, very simple, go in there and get back at him. If they find him there. I mean, this could just be a conversation piece. I don't know. But it could be. They could be just going in there and facing retribution, getting back at whoever did that. Now let's change topics for a minute here, okay? Let's look at Abraham. Abraham. He's a good man. Definitely a tough guy. Pretty much the only military person who's still on active duty for the most part. He's in the U.S. Army. And he's proud of it, and he's still pretty much doing his duty. He's there guarding this scientist with his life to get him to Washington, D.C. He's definitely, he's pretty much just still serving his duty. He's just going there and, protecting the scientist with his life, making sure that he gets to Washington, D.C. in one piece. So, in my opinion, he's practically one of the only military personnel who's still on active duty. Bob, for instance, he isn't. Back when the governor was around, he had, a military guy in his group, and he wasn't. The only other military personnel who strike me as being active were in Season 3, that one group of National Guardsmen who were there who got slaughtered by the governor. They were the last ones I saw who were still on active duty, and, now here's Abraham. He's a tough guy. He knows how to survive. I don't think he'll be dying anytime soon. Abraham, he strikes me as a survivor. And I like his, his attitude, his no BS attitude. He's not going to take any crap from you. I like it, though. So, pretty much, really strikes me also that he still has almost the courage, maybe. The discipline. We'll say the discipline to, pretty much just go and stay in the military for the most part and just guard the scientist guy who, is going to Washington and will protect him with his life. So that really, really strikes me. Abraham. Good man. Now, the scientist guy seems to me like a terminal MMORPG geek. He strikes me as being almost fitting into the online gamer persona. He pretty much has just almost an expressionless attitude. He really just says nothing. When he talks, he has almost no emotion. He was there trying to hit on Tara. And she obviously said, "No, I'm not interested. I'm into women." But he's there. You could say that his manner of speech and his actions and his mannerisms are awkward in a way. You could have said before the outbreak he was pretty much a shut-in, just sitting there in a lab or whatever. And that could be the case. Now, was he the guy in the episode? Did he say for reals? Was that him who said it? Or was that someone else? Either way, though, the scientist guy, I don't know. I don't know if he'll make it to Washington. I think he will, but I don't know. He just seems almost like a blank personality there. And definitely he's got the mullet growing. If you looked at him, he wouldn't look like a scientist. When you think of a scientist, you picture him, well dressed and short hair with the coat and whatever. But there he is in torn clothing with a mullet. But, if you looked back, and, he probably would be more clean cut. But we'll see. He definitely does act, though, that he definitely does possess some intelligence. So that's for sure. Now let's focus for a minute on Glenn and Tara. The two of them were traveling together, with Abraham and his crew. Pretty much Glenn is going on his search, his conquest almost, to find Maggie. They were all heading up to Terminus, and they see Maggie's signs. They see her, that she was there, that she's still alive, and he's ecstatic. So that even boosts his morale even more. So they're on their way to Terminus. So that's Glenn, who's, the only thing he wants to do now is find his wife, girlfriend, his companion, partner, all of the above, in one piece. That's the one thing he wants to do. He just wants to find Maggie alive and to be with her. So, then he's got Tara at his side. Now, obviously she was with the governor at first. Pretty much the governor was a really good speaker, and he was able to win her over almost, for the most part, to join his cause. That said, she went to prison with the governor and his force and helped attack the prison, but when she saw them, when she saw the governor chop off Herschel's head, that's when she realized, the governor's a sicko. And that's basically when she changed her side for the most part. But she was completely devastated, when, following the destruction of the prison and that big battle that occurred there, a massacre, as you could say. She's just sitting there by herself, the zombies almost surrounding her. And that's when she met up with Glenn. And when she found out that Glenn was, part of the prison who was attacked, she realized, well, she felt extremely guilty for it. Incredibly guilty. And pretty much she'd do anything to get back, to almost, in forgiveness. She would basically do anything for Glenn. So, when Glenn, when they reached that tunnel there, that black tunnel, and they could hear the zombies inside. When they reached that tunnel, and Abraham says, the hell with this, we're turning back. Glenn says, well, I'm going through. Tara obviously says, well, I'm going with you. I'm going with you, Glenn. I'm gonna go through that tunnel also. So they're going through, and of course things go awry, and they encounter the group of walkers, and she gets her foot trapped, and she's about to die, and she's telling Glenn, keep going, leave me, leave me, I'll sacrifice myself, to them so you could get away safely. And he says, no, I'm not leaving you. Starts fighting, and of course then that's when Maggie's group, who met up with, Abraham and, Bob and all of them, and they met up and they cleared out the walkers, and so Glenn and Tara both survived that. I thought she was going to die. Honestly, I thought she was going to die. I thought she wouldn't make it through this episode, but she did. But what really struck me out is that, when Glenn is making the introductions to the group, he basically covers for her. He says that she saved his life, and he met her on the road, and he's basically covering for her so no one knows that she was with the governor. Isn't that something? Truly, Glenn, at times he could be selfish, with really blinded by his love for Maggie. Could be selfish at times, but, he's still a good man. He covered for her, said nobody knew she was with the governor. Practically gave her a clean slate. in that sense. Now, do you think, though, get your pen and paper ready. Yeah, he covered for her. He gave her a clean slate. Will anyone recognize her? And if they do, what do you think will happen? Do you think anyone will recognize her? Because they showed, obviously, she knew that, he was just covering for her there. She was incredibly guilty still. Maybe even more so that he, went ahead and covered for her like that. So, do you think anyone will recognize her? And, would they do anything even? Or could she just say, I didn't know, blah, 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 and would they forgive her? Who knows? Now, transitioning from that, we got Glenn and Maggie. What more needs to be said there? They got their grand reunion there. Aww, some have said. But, I don't know. This is a criticism of mine. Glenn and Maggie's reunion. I don't know. Is it a tad unrealistic? Yeah. But it was bound to happen anyway. So, you killed two birds with one stone. Glenn and Tara's life got saved, and Glenn and Maggie got reunited. So, there you go with that. 2-for-1 deal, right? So Glenn and Maggie are back together. Very symbolic with the the photograph. He shows her the photograph that he took at the prison. He says, she was gonna burn it. She has a lighter out, and he says, no, don't burn that. It's the only photograph of you I have. And she says, you're not gonna need a photograph of me anymore. Really symbolizing, saying, I'm not leaving you again. Yes, that's really something. Some good symbolism with the picture there. But Glenn and Maggie are back together. So, last but not least, we have Terminus. Well, they made it. At least one of the groups did. You got Glenn, Maggie, Bob, Abraham, the scientist, everyone there. That whole group now, they're all together. And they made it to Terminus. They made it. They're there. The long-awaited Terminus. What the heck is it? Seriously, what is this place? This was so well advertised. So well advertised. Especially, with almost a complete lack of technology, they still managed to advertise the place so well. Along that railroad tracks for probably a good 50-mile radius, if not more. There they had signs, maps, everything. Those who arrive survive. Leading them where Terminus was. Follow the railroad tracks, you'll get there. They had signs everywhere. Advertising the place. I think they even had a radio station going there. And that itself is something. Especially in the post-apocalyptic world. To have a radio station going just advertising this place. It shows that they definitely have a significant amount of power there. If they could, advertise in such a radius there. They definitely want people to know about this. Now, what really strikes me here, why is this place totally unlocked? Anyone can come in. Including some walkers, eventually, who could probably just push a gate in and get in there. So that just surprises me. It completely and totally surprises me. A place so well advertised, and probably, everyone who's on those railroad tracks knows about this place, or anyone who has a radio could probably hear the station there. It's probably catering, or at least a huge amount of people have probably heard that. Some of them not the best people, of course. Definitely people who aren't good have heard about it. Yet this place is totally defenseless and unlocked. Anyone could come in. You know, if you got a group like the governor, they could easily come in and take the place over. A herd of walkers could easily barge in there. Totally defenseless. And that doesn't make any sense. So that first thing there makes me think that something is fishy there. Alright. Number 2. Why is there only one lady standing there with her back turned? I mean, come on. I just don't get it. They go in there, completely defenseless, and all they see is this one woman sitting there by the grill, you know, making lunch, making maybe some steaks or whatever, you know, with her back turned to them. If you had a group like the governor, they could have just came in there, killed her, and taken the place over. I don't even think she had a gun on her. I honestly don't think so. So that really makes me question how a place like this, so well advertised, is even around, you know, in this world. It puzzles me. And who are these people exactly? You know, we saw the one lady, and I'm sure there's other people in there. There has to be. It's a massive facility. You know, you saw it was in the rail yard there. Big building there. Had, like, gardens in front and everything, and obviously it would have to take more than one person to set that up. So there probably is a community, but who are these people? And why was she so keen on feeding the group? You know, I think her first words, she turned around and said, you know, you look like you've been on the road for a while, or, you know, you've been on the road for a while, you know, why don't I make you a plate? Why are they so keen on feeding the group? You know, if someone tried to come into the prison, you know, Rick's group would have guns drawn. You know, they interviewed everyone before they would welcome people into the prison, ask them the 3 questions. But here she is, just welcoming them in with open arms. No defenses or anything. So that makes me wonder. Is Terminus a trap? Think about it. It seems almost too good to be true. There's signs on the railroad tracks leading everybody there. Everyone on those railroad tracks, and probably other railroad lines also. You know, the place looked like it was in a railway yard. Meaning that there's probably 6 or 7 other, you know, lines of railroad tracks leading into there. Could be. That makes me wonder. How many people have seen these signs, and how many people are showing up there? You know, it's probably leading a massive amount of people there. Because if you think about it, it's certainly well advertised. You know, everyone in the group got to those railroad tracks, and there they are, seeing those signs for Terminus. Another thing is, once again, it looks too good to be true. And you gotta think of it this way. It looks so friendly and non-threatening, it almost seems unrealistic. You know, especially in the post-apocalyptic world that they're in, it seems pretty much unrealistic. You know, to have this defenseless place that's so publicized to people of every walk of life, who are some good and some horrible, all heading there, and it's just completely defenseless and friendly. You know, I can't say this enough. It just looks too good to be true. I think something's up. Now, I have to, you know, be the devil's advocate here. There's also an argument saying it's not a trap. Alright, you gotta think of it this way. Sure, it's a terrible place. The world at this time is a terrible place. Let's face it, even in 2014, in a perfectly normal world, it still isn't that good of a place. So, add zombies, add no law at all, it's an even worse place. That said, you know, everyone is pretty much a hardened survivor. They'll kill when they have to, but could there still be some good people out there? You know? Could there still be some good people out there? Well, maybe. Maybe there are. And that's very possible. Maybe these are good people. Maybe they're there to just help people out. That could be. You know, they could have been former aid workers. They could be potentially religious individuals. What have you. You know, maybe it is a very welcoming place, but, you know, maybe they do have weapons and guards and what have you, where, if need be, they'll toughen up and and fight if they have to. You just don't know, and this will probably all be revealed next week in the season finale. But you don't know. And if it is a trap, though, if it were to be a trap, it just wouldn't make sense. Because anyone who's stayed alive long enough to reach Terminus is probably pretty badass and armed to the teeth. You gotta look at it that way. People like Abraham and that whole group of Daryls, they're hardened survivors. They know what they're doing. So, I think it would be pretty difficult to try to take them down. They definitely put up a fight. So, it would just probably be pretty difficult to really, get all these people and, kill all these people or take them captive or whatever. I think that'd be a pretty difficult thing to do. But who knows? I think this will all be explained next week. Decent cliffhanger. Now, the next theory about Terminus is a very popular one, on the blogosphere. But, this is pertaining to the comics. So if you haven't read the Walking Dead comics, I suggest you just tune out right now, because it's going to be exposing some spoilers. So please, if you choose not to listen, then don't. If you do, well, continue. If you've read the comics, you're familiar with the cannibals. Alright? They were the group that abducted Dale after he was bitten and cut off his leg, and ate that. What if these cannibals are Terminus? What if the lady at the grill, what if she was cooking up human meat? You don't know. She might have been. What justifies the cannibal theory is, think of it. It would just need to take a strong group. They take over this building, they set up camp there, and they advertise it and make it seem like a safe haven for people to go to. People will show up there. They'll let their guard down. And then they'll kill them and eat them. And you gotta think of it this way. With all the advertising going on with Terminus, you're gonna have a lot of survivors showing up. You'll still have people showing up there no matter what. And that guarantees them a food supply. So who knows? It definitely could be the cannibals. It would definitely be an ingenious theory. Or an ingenious plan, to get people to show up, and you'll never be short on food. So who knows? It's possible. Definitely possible. We'll just have to wait and find out until next week, right? Well, thank you all for listening. This is the Report of the Week for our very first audio broadcast, covering The Walking Dead episode, Us. Hope you enjoyed this. Truly did. We'll have to see how this turns out. This is Report of the Week. Signing off. 7 threes.